This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. Now, regular listeners of my podcast, or the occasional dipper in and out of my podcast, will know that most of the time I record these in a recording studio, but occasionally I drop in one sort of on the fly, on the move, on the go, and that's what this one is. So I decided to record this one in a little bit of drizzly weather rather than in the recording room. Now, the reason for this is essentially I thought it was apt because I've just come from a little show, and basically I woke up this morning. Obviously, that's why I'm here talking to you now. I woke up this morning, this is 12th of May, Saturday 12th of May, to a message, an invitation to go and see this show called Soap. And it's essentially an acrobatic show, lots of water, music and comedy. And I didn't know what to expect, but it's basically... It's at the UnderBelly. I used to call it the UnderBelly because it's kind of the cow as udders, but maybe there was two. Maybe there's the UnderBelly, but basically it's, that's on the Southbank, and it's been going for several years. The UnderBelly Festival. Now this show, cabaret, whatever you want to call it, has been doing the rounds in various countries, I believe, and it's now here. And the thing is, it was really good. I say the thing is, it's not like it's meant to be a surprise, but when you get an invitation to see something, of course, you're not expecting it. Nobody really expects an invitation unless there's something pre-arranged. And it was really light-hearted, really easy to watch. No kind of plot as such, which suited me, because it's just one funny, clever, zany or intriguing thing after another. So this thing called Soap, I am going to split this little review into three categories. There you go, I'm outside, there's a dog. And I'm splitting into three categories. That's eyes. That's the first category. And then we have last category I'm going to call feet, and the middle category balls, and you'll understand why later. So the first category, skin. First category, eyes. I was going to call it skin. The reason I'm saying call it eyes is because what you see is, pretty astounding. From the first act of the show, the show runs for about an hour and 10 minutes, is 5 dancers sitting down in a bath dancing, and also a female singer, almost opera style, kind of singing us into the show. And the 5 dancers, they're sitting down and moving in a bath. Well, it's well choreographed, and that's what sets the scene. And it's the front 3 out of 5 bathtubs that are on the stage is 3 guys, one in each bathtub. Standing up, moving, sitting down, laying down, moving really fast, and you essentially, you see these guys in underpants, and you first of all think, this is kind of like some sort of Chippendales show or something, striptease kind of male thing. Obviously there's females as well, but it's kind of, that introduces you, and soon we're introduced to a girl who's reading the programme. She's more well known for being kind of a clown, and you can see that by her expressions, her comedy reactions with the audience, and that's where you finally first get the idea, or the feeling, literally, of water. You get the feeling of water on you because they spray a little bit of water every now and again on the audience, and it's good. I mean, this water builds up throughout the whole hour and 10 minutes. Certain scenes don't involve any water, certain scenes do, acrobatics galore which also have water. But the reason I was calling this little section Eyes was because it occurred to me that, as well as it being something visually stunning, visually very good anyway, it's your eyes, of course, that's what you see it with. But also, I thought to myself, when they're splashing the water, although I was wearing some glasses at the time, you're always flinching because there's some water coming towards you. Not, as I say, it's not continuous throughout the hour and 10 minutes, but it's every now and again. And it occurred to me that it's called Soap, this show, but really it's just water as far as I could see. I mean, I guess the reason for that, as I was thinking afterwards, was or during the show, if it was literally soapy water, you've got the risk of it going in people's eyes, skin allergies, all kinds of things. So I suppose it wasn't, when I first got the invitation to see this show, it wasn't with my sister, incidentally. I had the visions of being bubbles and bubble bath and that kind of thing. I saw a few pictures, but I didn't really look into it too much. So that's why I wanted to call that little section that. I'm only doing this as a brief review. I've got a funny feeling it's going to rain down, ironically, in a mo yet again. So the next thing I wanted to say was balls. Now you can interpret that how you want. I wanted to call it that intentionally because it's it sounds a bit rude. But really, I was going to say this guy with some fantastic balls that are, was really, really good. And I'm talking about juggling balls. He appears a few times in the show. And I suppose at some points he serves as a time for the rest of the cast to get changed, get props ready and what have you. But he's also a part of the ensemble and not part of the plot or story as such. It's kind of, in a way, this thing was, I can imagine once they had the idea of doing this show about baths and dancing in baths and pretending to be half of a person in a bath, if you can imagine that, and trapeze and mopping, dancing with mops. Once you've got that idea and there's no story, you can come up with lots of little things. And there's puppeteering with well, not puppeteering, but kind of someone using their feet, which brings me on to the last section. Their feet as kind of puppets talking to each other, and it's quite a sweet little scene. And in some ways it felt really childish, but it fitted the whole show. It felt really good. This wasn't a kids show. This was, I think it was mostly adults there, family as well. I'm sure it wasn't offensive in any way, or adult nature, any kind of adult material. But I also wanted to call this kind of third category, after eyes and balls and feet, I wanted to call it feet, because lots of feats, and I don't mean foot, I mean feats as in challenging things that were done, acrobatic, clever usage of the body and that. And so I just wanted to sum up what the show was. I mean, it's a very good show. I don't know if you get a chance to see it, and I wanted to do this podcast. Oh yeah, you're right. I wanted to do this, as I say, on the go, because there you go, just some random lad walking past me, or cycling past me with his dad. I wanted to do this outside, and also while it's fresh in my mind, but also because it's kind of apt that it's starting to rain. And we did get a little bit wet. It wasn't crazily wet, but the people in the front row were getting quite wet. There's a great scene, there's a great part of the act where someone is on the trapeze, I suppose, swing or trapeze, excuse me, and he grabs someone else, grabs hold of this girl who's the clown kind of girl, swings her through kind of underneath his legs and straight to the audience, and all the time the stage is getting gradually more wet. I think that's how I interpreted it, the wetness. And she kind of almost, not only does the water cover that person in the audience or quite a bit, she almost ends up almost in there. Obviously this is all planned to a certain extent. There's also someone in the audience at the very beginning of the show, well, quite near the beginning of the show, who's, you could say, a plant. He features a lot later on in the show, but it's giving a bit away there, but it's not really, especially if you look at the programme before you go in. This show itself was it's directed by Marcus Pabst, Maximilian Rambeek. Yes, I'm reading this. Stage design by Daniel Drobny. There's musical arrangers, obviously lighting, technical director, and the cast list. And it tells you who the bathtubs are supplied by. It does actually mention here the long list of music that's featured in the show, and that includes music by The Doors, Mika, Sia, Tool, Gnarls Barkley. You can imagine which song that will be. Goldfrapp, Ben Harper, and also live music from Beethoven, Mozart, Korsakov, Theodorakis, and the Beatles. And some of those are kind of humorously brought to us by little signs that kind of change the title of the I think, like, for example, the Beatles, it comes up with Let It Splash instead of Let It Be. Some of it's very silly, and maybe some of these feats in this show were easy to do, but I think the whole thing is put together, very well, and it works. There's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of a little bit of tension, I suppose, watching the acts do their stuff, whether it's on the side of a bath or high up or on the back of somebody, or it's difficult to explain, really. But it also mentions in this programme that the show first opened in the Chameleon Theatre in Berlin in January 2007, and then it's toured various countries, 25 cities, including various Singapore, Hungary, UK, Mexico. And the German version of Soap is performing as Wet, the show in the GOP cabarets, apparently. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do this. I'm sure I've forgotten to mention something, but I didn't need to record this at all, but I just felt compelled. It was a bit of a surprise direction the day took after I had this invitation, and it was very well put together. And maybe you'll get a chance to see it somewhere, somewhen. Maybe you won't. And that's it. If you enjoy this podcast on the go, you can listen to my other ones, whether they're mostly the studio ones. I record essentially film reviews, film season reviews, Korean films, my Korean trips to South Korea, and other stuff. You can find me on YouTube. Just type in Jason Verney. Also on iTunes, these podcasts. Of course, on YouTube, you've got more stuff rather than podcasts. So some of my short films, some of my film events that I've filmed, some clips that I've got from South Korea and elsewhere in the world. And that's it. So I'm going to leave it there before I ramble on too much. And it's starting to get a bit more wet now. So I will say adios. And make sure you wash well. That's all I can say, whether you use soap or not. Okay, goodbye.